Hello students, my name is Niyati Seth and thanks for watching Wikipedia word videos. My topic for the presentation is 6th section of the chapter Mineral Nutrition. In this section of the video, we will discuss about the characteristic deficiency symptoms of plant nutrients. Students, in my previous section of the presentation I have already taught you various forms and function of essential nutrient elements. So for better understanding you can refer to those presentation. Now in this section of the video we will discuss about the characteristic deficiency symptoms of plant nutrients. What are plant nutrients? Such as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, iron, manganese, copper, chlorine, zinc, boron and molybdenum. Okay, so first we will study about the nitrogen deficiency symptom. I have already taught you students that nitrogen is essential nutrient element which is required by plants in the greatest amount. It is absorbed mainly as NO3 minus, that is nitrate. Okay, nitrate ion, though some are also taken up as NO2 minus. Okay, nitrogen is required by all parts of the plant students, particularly the meristematic tissue and metabolically active cells. They require much more quantity of nitrogen. Okay, and nitrogen is one of the major constituent of protein, nucleic acid, vitamins and hormones students. Okay, so under nitrogen deficiency, older mature leaves, they gradually change from their normal characteristic green appearance to much paler green. Okay, so this is the leaf which is representing deficiency of nitrogen. Minus N shows deficiency of nitrogen students. Okay, so the older mature leaf, they gradually change from their normal characteristic green appearance to much paler green. See, this is pale green color and this is the leaf which has sufficient nitrogen. So this is your normal leaf which is green in color, or it has green appearance, but this is the leaf which has deficiency of nitrogen. Okay, so this is pale green in color. As the deficiency progresses, these older leaves, they become uniformly yellow. Yellow means chlorotic. That's why that phenomena is known as chlorosis students. Okay, leaves, they become yellowish white under extreme deficiency. This is not the extreme case. Okay, that's why it is pale green in color, but in later stages as the deficiency progresses, leaves, they become yellowish white under extreme deficiency. Okay, the young leaves at the top of the plant, they maintain a green color but paler color and tend to become smaller in size. That means the young leaves which are present at the top of the plant, it maintains pale green color. Okay, but tend to become smaller in size. So these are the characteristics nitrogen deficiency symptom. Branching is reduced. As you can see, the branching it becomes stunted, or in some cases as it is seen that it retards. So branching is reduced in nitrogen deficient plant, which is resulting in short spindly plant. See, this is very short spindly plant that shows the deficiency of nitrogen students. Okay, so the yellowing in nitrogen deficiency is uniform over the entire leaf including veins students. Okay, see, these are the paler leaves. This is the later stage of nitrogen deficiency in which entire leaf becomes yellow. That means chlorosis takes place. That means yellowing of leaf. Okay, so as the deficiency progresses students, the older leaves also show more of a tendency to wilt. Okay, under mild water stress and senesce, that means they get older much earlier than usual. Recovery of deficient plant to applied nitrogen is immediate and spectacular. So this was the characteristic nitrogen deficiency symptom which is seen in a plant. Okay, plant and leaves to be more precise. Now comes phosphorus. So this is the characteristic phosphorus deficiency symptom. Phosphorus, as we all know, that it is absorbed by the plant from the soil in the form of phosphate ion, that is H2PO4 minus or HPO4 2 minus. Phosphorus is a constituent of cell membrane, students. Phosphorus is also a constituent of certain proteins, all nucleic acids such as DNA and RNA, and it is an important constituent of nucleotides such as adenine, guanine, cytosine and thymine, and they are required for all phosphorylation reactions, students. Okay, so phosphorus deficiency symptoms, they are difficult to identify. Okay, a major visual symptom is that the plants are dwarfed or stunted. Okay, that means because of the phosphorus deficiency, plant shows retarded growth or stunted growth. Okay, so phosphorus deficient plants, they develop very slowly. Okay, and phosphorus deficient plants, they are often mistaken for unstressed but much younger plants, developing a distinct purpling of the stem. As you can see that the entire leaf has become purple in color because of the accumulation of anthocyanin pigment in the vacuole of the cell. Purple color appears on the leaf. Okay, so distinct purpling is seen on the lower side of the leaf. See, this is the lower side of the leaf. Under severe deficiency conditions, there is also a tendency for leaves to develop a blue-gray luster. Now come to the potassium deficiency symptoms, students. Potassium, it is absorbed as potassium ion. In plants, this is required in more abundant quantities in meristematic tissue, buds, leaf and root tips, students. Potassium, it helps to maintain an anion cation balance in cells and is involved in the protein synthesis, opening and closing of stomata, and activation of enzymes and the maintenance of turgidity of cell. It is all maintained by your potassium. So what are the characteristic deficiency symptoms of potassium, students? The onset of potassium deficiency is generally characterized by marginal chlorosis. See, this is the margin of a leaf and here chlorosis is taking place, that is yellowing of leaf takes place at the margins of the leaf, and then it progresses into a dry leathery tan scorch on recently mature leaf. As you can see that it has converted into a dry leathery like tan scorch like structure, and this is followed by increasing intervenal scorching. Okay, or necrosis means students, death of the tissue. Okay, so this after chlorosis, necrosis takes place from the leaf edge to the midrib as the stress increases. See, this is the midrib, students. Okay, midrib of this leaf, and this is the margin. So here first necrosis takes place and then it progresses to the midrib of the leaf. Okay, because potassium is very mobile within the plant and symptoms only develop on young leaves in case of extreme deficiency, students. Okay, now come to the calcium deficiency, students. As we all know that plants, they absorb calcium from the soil in the form of calcium ion, that is Ca2 plus ion. Calcium is required by meristematic and differentiating tissues. During cell division, it is used in the synthesis of cell wall, particularly as calcium pactate in the middle lamella. Calcium is also needed during the formation of mitotic spindle. It accumulates in older leaves. It is involved in the normal functioning of cell membrane. and it activates certain enzymes and it plays an important role in regulating metabolic activities. Okay, so what are the characteristics calcium deficiency symptoms on leaf, students? These calcium deficient leaves, they show necrosis around the base of the leaf. Okay, necrosis means death of the tissue. Okay, so this brown part is showing the necrosis. So calcium deficient leaf show necrosis around the base of the leaf. See, this is the base of the leaf and it is showing the necrosis. Okay, the very low mobility of calcium is a major factor that determines the expression of calcium deficiency symptoms in plant, because it is very less mobile. So that's the reason determining the expression of calcium deficiency in plants is little difficult. And classical symptoms of calcium deficiency include blossom end rot, that is BER, burning of the end part of the tomato fruit. See, this is the burning part of the tomato fruit which has occurred due to the deficiency of calcium in it. And finally it collapse and secondary pathogens take over the fruit, students. So this was the calcium deficiency symptom on leaf and fruit, students. Okay, now come to the magnesium, students. Magnesium, as we all know, that it is absorbed by plants in the form of divalent magnesium ion. Okay, it activates the enzyme of respiration. Okay, it also activates enzymes of photosynthesis and they are involved in the synthesis of DNA and RNA. Magnesium is a constituent of ring structure of chlorophyll and it helps to maintain the ribosome structure, students. Now what are the characteristic magnesium deficiency symptoms, students? This is the tomato leaf. Okay, so magnesium deficient tomato leaf show advanced intervenal chlorosis. See, this is chlorosis intervenal. Okay, so see, this is the vein of the leaf and intervenal chlorosis it shows, with necrosis developing in the highly chlorotic tissue. That means a tissue which is almost yellow in color, then in later stages of the progression it shows necrosis. Necrosis means death of the tissue, students. In its advanced form, magnesium deficiency may superficially resemble potassium deficiency. In case of magnesium deficiency, the symptoms generally start with mottled chlorotic areas developing in the intervenal tissue. Okay, now come to the sulfur, students. Sulfur, as we all know, that plants they obtain sulfur in the form of sulfate ion, that is SO4 2 minus. Sulfur is present in two amino acid, that is cysteine and methionine, and it is the main constituent of several coenzymes, vitamins such as thiamine, biotin, coenzyme A and ferredoxin. Okay, now what are the characteristic sulfur deficiency symptoms seen on the leaf of a plant? So this leaf it shows a general overall chlorosis. See, this is overall chlorosis while still retaining some green color. So this is pale green color. Okay, see, this is the yellow part, that means it is showing the chlorosis, that is yellowing of the leaf. The vein and the petiole they exhibit a very distinct reddish color. See, this is your petiole. Okay, so this is your petiole which exhibit reddish color. The visual symptom of sulfur deficiency are very similar to the chlorosis found in nitrogen deficiency. That means leaf shows the same symptom in the nitrogen deficiency soil and in the sulfur deficiency soil. It almost shows the same symptoms. However, in sulfur deficiency, yellowing is much more uniform. As you can see, yellowing is much more evenly spread or evenly uniform over the entire part, including young leaves. The reddish color often found on the underside of the leaf. That means if you see the lower part of this leaf, then you will observe the reddish color on the underside of the leaf, and the petiole has more pinkish tone and is much less vivid than found in the nitrogen deficiency. Okay, so You can say a plant which is deficient in nitrogen and deficient in sulfur shows almost same symptoms, that is yellowing of the leaf, that is chlorosis, and reddish color on the underside of the leaf. So this was about the characteristic sulfur deficiency symptoms. Now come to the manganese deficiency. These leaf they show little intervenal chlorosis, which is developed under limited supply of manganese. As we all know that manganese is absorbed in plants in the form of manganese ion, that is Mn2 plus. And manganese, what's the significance of manganese? It activates many enzymes which are involved in photosynthesis, respiration, nitrogen metabolism. Okay, and the best defined function of manganese is in the splitting of water to liberate oxygen during photosynthesis, students. Okay, so these leaves they show a little intervenal chlorosis which is developed under limited supply of manganese. The early stage of the chlorosis is induced by manganese deficiency are somewhat similar to iron deficiency. They begin with the light chlorosis of the young leaf and netted veins. Netted veins means meshed veins of the mature leaf, especially when they are viewed through transmitted light. As the stress increases, leaf they take on a gray metallic sheet and develop dark freckled and necrotic areas along the vein. See, this is the vein, okay, this is the midrib and these are the veins. So veins they form a mesh like structure in the deficiency of manganese, okay, and it develop dark freckled and necrotic areas along the vein. Okay, so this was the characteristic manganese deficiency. Now come to the molybdenum deficiency, students. Molybdenum plants they obtain it in the form of molybdate ion, that is MoO2 2 plus. Molybdenum is a component of several enzymes including nitrogenase and nitrate reductase, both of which participate in nitrogen deficiency. An early symptom for molybdenum deficiency is general overall chlorosis. Okay, that means entire leaf it becomes chlorotic, similar to the symptom of nitrogen deficiency, but generally without reddish coloration. In nitrogen deficiency we have seen that along with the chlorosis, reddish coloration in the petiole is seen. But here in molybdenum, only chlorosis, entire chlorosis of a leaf takes place, but not reddish coloration of petiole. Thus, the initial symptom of molybdenum deficiency are in fact those of nitrogen deficiency, you can say. But the initial symptoms, not the later symptoms. However, molybdenum has also other metabolic functions within the plant and hence there are deficiency symptoms even when reduced nitrogen is available. Now come to the zinc. Zinc, plant obtains zinc as zinc ion, that is Zn2 plus ion. It activates various enzymes, especially carboxylases, and it is also needed in the synthesis of plant hormone, that is auxin, students. So in the early stage of zinc deficiency, the younger leaves they become yellow and pitting develops. Okay, pitting means a small hole develops on the intervenal upper surface of the mature leaf. So this is the diagram which is showing the deficiency of zinc, where pitting has appeared. See, this hole is pitting. Okay, so pitting develops in the intervenal upper surface of the mature leaf. Okay, as the deficiency progresses, necrosis takes place. Necrosis means death of the tissue. See, this brown color is showing the necrosis, that means a death of the tissue, but the main vein it remains green. Okay, as you can see that this is the brown part, but this main vein, that is midrib, it remains green as in the symptoms of recovering iron deficiency. Okay, so this was about the zinc deficiency symptom. Now come to the boron deficiency symptoms. As we know, that boron is absorbed as BO3 3- or B4O7 2-. Boron is required for uptake and utilization of calcium ion. Boron is also required for membrane functioning, pollen germination, cell elongation, and cell differentiation and carbohydrate translocation. Okay. Now come to the characteristic boron deficiency symptoms, students. Boron is an essential plant nutrient. However, when exceeding the required level, it may be toxic. Boron is poorly transported in the phloem. Okay, phloem is a vascular tissue which helps in the conduction of food material from leaf to the other parts of the plant. So boron is poorly transported in the phloem. Boron deficiency symptoms generally appear in younger plants at the propagation stage, and slight interveinal chlorosis in older leaves, followed by yellow to orange tinting in the middle and the older leaves. So this was about the boron. Now come to the copper deficiency symptoms, students. Copper, as we know, that it is absorbed as cupric ion, that is Cu2 plus. It is essential for overall metabolism in plant. Like iron, it is associated with certain enzymes which are involved in redox reactions and is reversibly oxidized from Cu plus to Cu2 plus ion. Okay, now come to the characteristic copper deficiency symptoms. This is the leaf which is showing the deficiency symptom of copper. These are the copper deficient leaves. They become curled. As you can see, this curling has taken place and their petiole, they bend downward. Okay, so this is the petiole of the leaf which bends downward. Copper deficiency may be expressed as light overall chlorosis along with the permanent loss of turgor in the young leaves. That means turgor loss takes place in the younger leaves because of the deficiency symptom of copper. Recently matured leaves, they show netted green veining. Netted means meshed. Meshed green veining takes place with the bleached to a whitish gray color. Okay, and some leaves, they develop sunken necrotic spots. Sunken means deep seated necrotic spots. Necrotic means death of the tissue, and they have the tendency to bend downward. So when curling takes place in the downward direction, that means, that shows that the plant has a characteristic copper deficiency symptom. Okay, now come to the iron. Iron, as we all know, that plants, they obtain iron in the form of ferric iron, that is Fe2 plus iron. It is required in larger amount in comparison to other micronutrients. It is an important constituent of protein which is involved in transfer of electrons like ferredoxin and cytochrome. It is reversibly oxidized from Fe2 plus to Fe3 plus during electron transfer. Iron, it activates catalase enzyme and it is essential for the formation of chlorophyll, students. Now come to the characteristics iron deficiency symptoms. These iron deficient leaf, they show intense chlorosis. See, this is the intense chlorosis which has occurred at the base of the leaf with some green netting. The most common symptom for iron deficiency start out as an interveinal chlorosis of the youngest leaf, evolves into an overall chlorosis. That means initially interveinal chlorosis takes place in the younger leaves, and then it evolves into an overall chlorosis and it ends up into totally bleached leaf. That means totally yellow leaf. The bleached area often develop necrotic spots, students. Up until the time leaf become almost completely white. They will recover upon application of iron. So when you apply iron over the bleached areas of the leaf, then leaf recovers. Okay. Because iron has a low mobility, iron deficiency symptoms appear first on the youngest leaf. Okay. Iron deficiency is strongly associated with calcareous soil. That means a soil which is calcareous in nature, there iron deficiency takes place more, and it is seen when the soil condition is anaerobic, that means in absence of oxygen, then iron deficiency takes place, and it is often induced by excess of heavy metals. Students, old leaf, symptoms on the entire plant and symptoms on the lower leaf only. Okay, in older leaves, symptoms occur on the entire plant or it occurs on the lower leaf only. So plant light green, lower leaf yellow, drying to the brown. So this is the characteristic feature of deficiency symptom of nitrogen. Okay, and what about phosphorus? Plant dark green with red or purple color. As I have told you, purple color occurs because of the anthocyanin accumulation in the vacuole of the cell. Okay, and lower leaves, they become yellow, drying to the darkly. Okay, this was the characteristic deficiency symptom of phosphorus. Now, a symptom that appears on the lower leaf, examples are magnesium and potassium, students. Older leaves, they become yellow at the edges, but they stay green in the center. So this is the symptom of magnesium. And this was all about sixth section of the chapter mineral nutrition. In my next section of the presentation, I'll be teaching you about seventh section of the chapter cell, the basic unit of life. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching Wikipedia word videos. Thank you.
Drop a like and do share. Leave your comments and do not forget to subscribe for more videos.